There's a reason Toyota built its reputation the way it did. For decades, these cars have been abused, neglected, driven across continents, skipped on maintenance, and somehow they still keep running like nothing happened. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Not every Toyota deserves the bulletproof reputation. Some models were average, some were forgettable, and some became absolute legends. So today, we're talking about the 3 most reliable Toyota models of all time. These are the cars mechanics trust, owners refuse to sell, and people regularly drive past 300,000 miles without major drama. And the craziest part? Most of them are still cheap enough to buy today. Let's get into it. Number 3. Toyota Camry. You knew this one had to be here. The Toyota Camry is basically the definition of reliable transportation, especially the early 2000s models with the 2.4-liter 2AZ engine, or the legendary 3.5-liter V6. Now, sure, the Camry isn't exciting. Nobody hangs a poster of one on their bedroom wall. But when your goal is stress-free ownership, this thing is almost impossible to beat. I know people who treated their Camrys horribly. Late oil changes, cheap gas, 0 maintenance records. And somehow these cars still started every single morning. That's why you constantly see old Camrys everywhere. Uber drivers still use them. Elderly owners keep them forever. Students buy them because they simply refuse to die, especially the XV30 generation from the early 2000s. Those cars are everywhere for a reason. The seats are comfortable, visibility is excellent, parts are cheap, insurance is cheap, fuel economy is still decent even today. And unlike many newer cars, there's very little unnecessary technology to break. Now, obviously, no car is perfect. The 2AZ 4-cylinder engines were known for oil consumption issues on some higher mileage examples. And on neglected cars, motor mounts and suspension components eventually wear out. But here's the important difference. These problems usually don't destroy the car financially. You replace the worn parts, and the Camry just keeps going. The V6 models are even crazier. Toyota's 3.5-liter 2GR-FE engine became one of the most respected V6 engines ever made. Smooth, powerful, incredibly durable. There are Camrys with over 400,000 miles still running the original drivetrain. And honestly, that's why the Camry deserves this list. It's not flashy, it's not rare, but few cars in automotive history have earned trust like this one. Number 2. Toyota Land Cruiser. If the Camry is Toyota's reliable commuter, the Land Cruiser is Toyota's indestructible tank, especially the 100 series. This thing was engineered to survive places where roads barely exist. Africa, Australia, the Middle East, mountains, deserts, snowstorms. Toyota built the Land Cruiser for people who literally couldn't afford breakdowns. And that's why these SUVs became legendary. Under the hood, the 100 series came with the famous 4.7-liter V8, the 2UZ-FE, and this engine is absolutely ridiculous. Massive cast iron block, overbuilt internals, smooth power delivery. It's the kind of engine that feels barely stressed even after 250,000 miles. There are Land Cruisers with 500,000 miles still driving around today. Not restored, not garage queens, daily drivers. And what makes the Land Cruiser special isn't just reliability, it's the way it ages. Most old luxury SUVs become nightmares after 15 years. Air suspension failures, electrical disasters, expensive repairs everywhere. But the Land Cruiser feels different. The doors still close with that heavy Toyota quality. The interior materials hold up surprisingly well. The drivetrain feels solid even with massive mileage. That's why used Land Cruisers hold their value like crazy. People trust them. Now, yes, ownership isn't cheap. Fuel economy is terrible. Timing belt service matters. And suspension components eventually need attention. But compared to European luxury SUVs from the same era, this thing is practically immortal. And honestly, that's why so many mechanics love them. Because when properly maintained, they just don't come back with catastrophic failures very often. The biggest problem with the Land Cruiser today is that everybody knows how reliable it is now. Prices keep climbing every year. Number 1. Toyota Corolla. And honestly, nothing else could take the number 1 spot. The Toyota Corolla is probably the closest thing the automotive world has ever created to an appliance. Simple, cheap, efficient, reliable forever. Especially models from the late 1990s through the mid-2000s. These cars became legendary because they solved one simple problem better than almost anything else: getting people from point A to point B without drama. The Corolla's smaller engines, especially the 1.8-liter 1ZZ and later 2ZR engines, were designed for longevity, not performance. And you can feel it. The transmission shifts smoothly forever. The engines rarely feel stressed. The cooling systems are simple. The electronics are minimal compared to modern cars, which means fewer expensive surprises. That's why Corollas became the go-to car for literally everybody. Students, retirees, delivery drivers, families, first-time buyers. And the funniest part? Most owners barely maintain them properly. Yet somehow these cars continue surviving abuse that would destroy many modern vehicles. Now, yes, there were small issues over the years. Some older Corollas developed oil-burning problems. Suspension bushings wear out. Interior materials can feel cheap. But mechanically, these things are unbelievably durable. There's a reason you constantly see 20-year-old Corollas still driving around with faded paint and dented bumpers. Because the drivetrain simply refuses to quit. And honestly, in today's world of overcomplicated turbocharged cars filled with screens and sensors, there's something refreshing about that simplicity. The Corolla may not impress your neighbors, but it'll probably outlive their expensive luxury car. And that's exactly why it deserves the #1 spot. Final thoughts. So those were the 3 most reliable Toyota models of all time. The Camry proved that boring can actually be brilliant. The Land Cruiser showed what happens when Toyota engineers build an SUV like military equipment. And the Corolla became one of the most dependable cars the world has ever seen. And honestly, cars like these are becoming rare. Modern vehicles are faster, more advanced, and packed with technology. But very few feel engineered to survive decades the way these Toyotas were. So if you're looking for a used car that can genuinely last forever with proper maintenance, these are some of the smartest buys you can still make today. And now I want to hear from you. Which Toyota do you think deserves the title of most reliable ever made? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content just like this.